Yes, indeed, I am a rap artist, but I release records with subject matters that are a little bit different. One of my albums is a hip-hop adaptation of Chaucer's Canterbury Tales. Another one is a hip-hop interpretation of Charles Darwin's theory of evolution by natural selection. And natural selection is a pretty potent idea. It's used to understand design and complexity in the natural world, or the appearance of design. But I think we can also use it to understand how culture evolves, including hip-hop culture and the wordplay through history, going back a lot further than hip-hop. Let's take it to the Stone Age of rap. Where did it start out? I mean, hip-hop is a culture that is based on wordplay. Rappers are known for their wordplay. They use metaphor, they use simile, they use alliteration, they use irony, they use humor, double entendre, but I want to focus really on the rhymes and see where the rhymes in rap come from and how they've changed over the years. Here's the first rap record that came out in 1979, Rapper's Delight. So this was pretty much the first rap lyrics that anyone outside of the New York area would have heard, because it was the first one on any mass media. And here's what it sounded like.
Now what you hear is not a test, I'm rapping to the beat. And me, the groove, and my friends are gonna try to move your feet.
Now, familiar stuff, right? But let's just look at the rhyme schemes and the wordplay. The basic rhyme is beat and feet. That's the same kind of rhyme as you might find in Shakespeare, Chaucer, William Blake. It's not really an innovation. Then there's a off rhyme maybe on the other line, test and friends, and there are internal rhymes on groove and move, but they're all monosyllabic single rhymes. If you go forward a few years, 1982, rap starts to become more complex in its message. This song is called The Message.
Rats in the front room, roaches in the back, junkies in the alley with the baseball bat. I tried to get away, but I couldn't get far, cause a man with a tow truck repossessed my car.
It's getting rhythmically a bit more interesting, the subject matter is more conscious, but the rhymes are still quite simple. Back, bat, far, car. Then a few years later, an innovation happened. It was like a mutation. It was a mutation that happened in the mind of this guy right here on the right, William Griffith, a.k.a. Rakim. And he did something innovative with rap that no one had done before. So see if you can see what it is in these lyrics that constitutes an innovation in rap.
Rhyme and graffiti in every show you see me in. Deep concentration, cause I'm no comedian. Jokers are wild, if you wanna be tame. I treat you like a child, then you're gonna be named.
These are called mosaic rhymes. A mosaic rhyme takes the constituent parts of a multi-syllable word and assembles those parts from smaller words to recreate the pattern. Comedian, simian, graffitian. A polysyllabic rhyme or multi-syllable rhyme, rappers call them multis, takes words and combines them together into a pattern. So wild, wanna be tamed, child, gonna be named. This caught like wildfire through hip-hop culture. After that, it was the game that rappers had to play because rap is so competitive. There's too many MCs and not enough mics, which means rappers have to innovate in order to get their prestige and their recognition. So a few years later, hip-hop culture had decided that an idea worth spreading was this concept of multi-syllable rhymes. They proliferated, not instantly, but fairly quickly, so that if you go forward about 7 years to where Nas was in the early 90s, you get all rappers doing this, but I think Nas was one of the best. So here's how he played with these multi-syllable rhyme schemes.
It's like that, you know it's like that. I got in him, now you never get the mic back. When I attack, there ain't an army that can strike back. So I react never calmly on a hype track.
You can see how more and more of the line is being used as part of the rhyme scheme. It's not just like that and mic back, it's attack, there ain't an army that can strike back, react never calmly on a hype track. The wordplay is sort of proliferating through the lyrics. And then a few years later, Eminem did something kind of novel as well, where he took a small pattern of rhymes and just tried to see how many variations of it he could flip in the same lyric. So here's 4 bars that uses the work a sweat or circus net rhyme pattern in 10 seconds.
I feel like I'm walking a tightrope without a circus net. Popping Percocet, I'm a nervous wreck. I deserve respect, but I work a sweat for this worthless check. I'm about to burst this tech, get somebody to reverse this debt.
Circus net, Percocet, nervous wreck, deserve respect, work a sweat, worthless check, burst this tech, reverse this debt. That's only 4 lines. So when I first discovered these rhyming patterns, I was 19, I was first starting out as a rap artist myself, but I was also studying English literature at the time. So I thought, if I go back to the oldest poetry in our language, if I go back 1,000 years, will I find these rhyme patterns? So I started with Geoffrey Chaucer in the late 1300s because he was sort of the founder of what we call English literature today. And here's the opening lines from Chaucer's Pardners tale. In Flanders whilom was a company of young folk that hunted in folly, as riot, hazard, stews, and tavernes, whereas with harpes, lutes, and guitarnes they dance and play net dies, both die and nichte, and eaten also, and drinken over her michte, through which they doen the devil's sacrifice within the devil's temple, and course it wise. Now, clearly there's wordplay going on here. But are there multi-syllable rhyme schemes? Not really. It's rhymes like company, folly, tavernes, guitarnes. It's one-syllable and two-syllable rhymes. There is a strange little possible multi here on stuvas and tavernes and lutes and guitarnes. And if you look through Chaucer, you find these occasionally sprinkled in. But he seems to just do it to spice up the playfulness of the lyricism. He never uses a sustained pattern of polysyllabic rhymes. To find a sustained pattern of polysyllabic rhymes in English literary history, you have to go forward to 1663, where Samuel Butler's poem Hudibras was published. And it had these lines. Besides, he was a shrewd philosopher and had read every text and gloss over. He was profound in all the nominal and real ways beyond them all. Now, these are rap-style rhymes. Philosopher, gloss over, right? This was an innovation for Samuel Butler, as far as we know. But this poem, Hudibras, it was a mock epic. It was meant to be silly, absurd, a comedy piece. So henceforth, this kind of rhyming became known as Hudibrastic rhyme. And Hudibrastic signified both the multi-syllable patterns and the absurdist comedy context. And all poets from then on seem to never divest these two different aspects of Hudibrastic rhyme. So if you go back 150 years forward, you get Lord Byron using the technique in his poem Don Juan, where he writes the classic line, "But O ye lords of ladies intellectual, inform us truly, have they not henpecked you all?" Now that is a classic hip-hop style rhyme, intellectual and henpecked you all, but once again it's used in an absurdist comedy context. I made a bit of a study when I was in grad school of the English literary canon to see if I could find any poets in the history of the English language using multi-syllable rhymes outside of a comedy context, and I couldn't really find any. If anyone knows of a counterexample of this, of serious polysyllabic rhyme in English literary history, I'd love to know of it, because I couldn't find any. Actually, the only one I could find was, strangely enough, in Lord of the Rings by J.R.R. Tolkien. Now, in Lord of the Rings, Bilbo, he's kind of done with the quest. He's hanging out at River Run, chilling with the elves, smoking his pipe, sitting by the fire, writing poetry. And when Frodo comes through on his quest with the Fellowship, Bilbo takes him aside and goes, "I've worked on this poem. I want to read it to you. It's kind of a funny little experiment. See what you think." And he reads him the Song of Arundel. And here's how that one sounds. "Through ever night he back was borne on black and roaring waves that ran o'er leagues unlit and foundered shores that drowned before the days began, until he heard on strands of pearl where ends the world the music long, where ever foaming billows roll and yellow gold and jewels wan." These are rap-style polysyllabic rhymes. Waves that ran, days began, foundered shores, drowned before. So Tolkien discovered this mutation that Rakim discovered, the possibility of using multi-syllable rhymes to express a non-comedic emotional tone. But Tolkien puts it in a meta-context of humor, because he doesn't give the poem to someone serious. He gives it to old senile Bilbo sitting by the fire just goofing off in his retirement, right? So he still can't escape from this comedy context. Rappers manage to do this. They manage to escape from this comedy context. And it may help that Rakim's early lyric in this, the first thing people heard in multi-syllable rhymes was, "I ain't no comedian," right? And the song title was,
I ain't no joke.
So in case you were tempted to take it as a joke, Rakim did not give you that option. And henceforth, rappers could use the multisyllabic rhymes to express all possible emotional tones: aggression, anger, frustration, grief, melancholy, and yes, also humor, but there was not that same limitation. It became open, and this redeemed the possibility of rhyme. Because if you look through the last 100 years of poetry, you'll notice that poets pretty much gave up on rhyme. Rhyme used to be definitive, and then it became free verse. It just became too obvious. Moon, June, soon. It's like not creative anymore. But it's sort of, my analogy is that imagine poets throughout history were like painters who only knew how to paint in primary colors. All they had was red, yellow, and blue. And then rappers came along and they're like, "Yo, you can mix them together." And suddenly there's aquamarine and mauve and turquoise and fuchsia, and they're all appearing, and the color potential emerges, right? So next time you listen to rap, I want you to just listen to the wordplay that the rappers are using, because you'll hear this legacy of polysyllabic rhyme, and you'll hear that what they're saying is one part of the wordplay, but the structure, the intricacy of the rhymes is another part, and this is a historically significant literary innovation that rappers deserve credit for creating that potential space. Now, I started out at the beginning saying that I was a rap artist, so I'm going to have to show you how I play with these rhymes now. I'm going to take the one pattern, broken glass, and see how many times I can flip it. It's a 16-bar rap I'm going to do, and I use the pattern 4 times in each of the 16 bars. So don't be tempted to read ahead. Just we'll do it line by line. Like this. I've been cracking jokes and having loads of plans, but no cash. I'm known for passing notes in class and going back to old Casanova tactics, holding hands and poems, and that's my only passion. So my rap is hope and action. No relaxing, no, I'm smashing holes fast in open caskets, slow dancing over scattered broken glass. I'm cold molasses. No fashion moguls have my clothes. I'm happy sewing patches. I don't have a home. I'd rather roam the map with no attachments. So I'm a laughing nomad. And though I travel roads and pass it, no average Joe can. I won't collapse and go flaccid. No chance, it won't happen. Only after no challenge known to man goes unmastered. Only after more than half my bones are fractured. Only passive goats and cattle go to pasture. No one asks for prose, they ask for smoking raps like solar flashes flowing past the globe's axis. So I task my overactive dome with matching no one's standards and only hatching poems that have the motions of explosive gases. And that's what rhymes with broken glasses. Thank you.